some trouble.
Hi, everybody.
Oh, are we on?
We're on.
Hi.
Lucid's
Lucid.
been my favorite teacher for a long time. You go so deep and you bring so much spirit and spirituality and like rock and practice. And I just feel so alive. And we've been having lots of conversations about kind of what it's okay to teach in a public class and what's missing around that and what's missing in the yoga world. So tell me, what you've been talking about, wanting to bring more of yoga to the world. So what do you got for us?
Oops, I knocked it. Well, I would say more of yoga and just more of ourselves, more of our experience of life. Yeah, more of the origins and roots of yoga as far as actual original tantric yoga goes.
What do you say, actual original? I mean, I think I know what you mean.
Well, because most people, especially here in California, think tantric yoga means sexual yoga or those kind of things.
Yeah.
And, you know, in the original tantric yoga where there's all these goddesses that represent different aspects of ourselves that you just don't see. I mean, we see Kali a little bit, but even then Kali's been pretty whitewashed and softened, and
she's even fiercer than we think.
way fiercer. And the fact is that she's representing aspects of us that we don't see teachers representing generally. And maybe Anna Forrest does a little bit. Maybe there's some people who do that we don't know as well. But the point is that yoga in general is pretty whitewashed, if you will. It's all nice and pretty, and we have all these like ways that we live and ways that we aspire to that are all nice. And I love that. It's helped me learn how to be really nice. And I think sometimes it keeps people away. And I know in the beginning, I felt like, okay, as a yoga teacher and as a good yogi, I should not be like having too much sex. I shouldn't be drinking. I shouldn't be eating anything bad. I shouldn't be watching TV, like all the shoulds, you know.
Yeah.
And the longer I practice and the longer I do my healing work and the more that I show up for people, what I'm getting back from my students who get a little more of me, like the deeper layers and aspects, is like, wow, the permission that you're giving me to be big, to be all of me. And that's the permission that I had to fight for in my life, and that's the permission that I want to give people, is to be all of them, and to not leave any aspect of ourselves or our experience out, you know, to really come with the whole of who we are, all our mess and all our sad and all our mad and all our beauty and all our sweetness and compassion and love and all of it, you know, just to leave nothing out, none of our experience. All the most traumatic and painful things that have happened to us are our power. Hi y'all, love to see you. That's where our power comes from that messy, scary stuff that we might think we're supposed to like clean up, you know. And
and that kind of goes into like the challenge of the spiritual bypass. Like, oh no, that's fine. I can handle it. It's all love, you know.
Yeah, and I play with that sometimes too for myself, you know, where it's like, I'm feeling really sad today, but I'm a yogi. I know how not to feel sad. I could just be fine and not believe any of the stories in my head and just go ahead and do a nice workout and have a nice meditation and transmute my energy. Or you know what? I am human. I am not realized, enlightened. I don't even know if I want to be. I want to let myself be human and let myself be sad sometimes. And I get to have that blessing of the yoga practice where I can pull back and go like, all right, storying enough, sad enough, time to move on, you know, like allow ourselves to feel, but also to not get stuck. Because as humans, we love stories and we do get stuck in stories. And they can hold us back, you know, like I am this or I'm not this or I'm not whatever. It's usually I can't, I'm not, I don't. Those are the most harmful stories that we have separating ourselves. Like, you don't understand me, I'm different, I'm not like that, it's different from, you know. And that happens for all of us because we're in here. It is different for all of us. But really, we're all having the same human experience with the same emotions and the same ability, ultimately, to move our energy and to be with it. And that is really the beautiful of a lot of the tantric practices. The beauty of it is that we're invited to sit with it and to allow ourselves to burn in that feeling of sad or mad or desireful. And that these things are what will propel us forward to the next thing. And if we do spiritual bypass and push it away, like, okay, I've got yoga practices, I'm gonna be fine today, I'm just gonna like breathe and carry on. Like, yeah, we wanna have powers to do that, but also how important to allow ourselves to like cry and to wail and to scream and to ask permission to just say, you know, wherever we're at. And that's an important part of it, is asking permission and not just acting out when you're processing something with someone, or when you just need to share. And please do share, don't keep it to yourself. So we all share and experience the same things. So yeah, I so just want to take the all nice super shanti spiritual hood off it all, and like, yes, allow ourselves to be desireful, wrathful, tearful, full humans who also have ecstatic, enlightened, awakened, blissful experiences of being human. All of it, all of it, all of it. Nothing left out. Nothing left behind. Nothing like, I don't want to talk about that thing to happen to me. I don't want to talk about how I feel out of place sometimes. No, we do. We
like
do.
All those negative experiences that we've just been like, okay, I need to just get over that.
No.
Go through
it. Because in it, you're going to pick up all these little bits of power that you have left behind. All those little bits of pain and confusion there are what feed the opening to the joy, the opening to the knowing, to the remembering, to the being able to hold yourself no matter what happens, and then being able to hold others. Sometimes being able to hold others first, too, is true.
So, so much.
So much.
The sense I'm getting, I want to make sure I'm getting you right. It's like, it seems like our yoga culture in America has got the Om Shanti part handled. Like,
in the pictures. In the pictures.
Hi.
In the pictures.
Life together. Look at me, pretending I'm meditating in a photo on the beach. Right. Someone just happened to walk by with a camera.
And how wonderful that, you know, a lot of us who are practicing do in moments.
Yeah.
We have it in moments. Yeah. But for us to start thinking, this is who I am now, this is how I have to show up, this is what people expect me to be, this is how a yogi is.
Yeah.
No, it's too much pressure on ourselves and others. It's not honest. We're not that way all the time until we do hit that enlightened place. And most of the time, if we're thinking we hit the enlightened place, we're wrong.
Yeah.
It's not about thinking.
Yeah. It's like, I think enlightenment goes stale very fast. Mm-hmm. Like, it's got to, like, as soon as you think you've got it, it's like rotting in your hands. You just keep going away. You just stirred a memory for me. There's this guy who was basically ripping me off. And he was like, and I was starting to get angry. He's like, you're a yogi, you're not supposed to get angry. I was like, no, I'm actually angry. You're fucking with me. Right? Like, my emotions are real, and you've got to, right? You're not treating me right. You're lying to me, and I'm seeing that.
Yeah.
So.
And this is where communication comes in. I think it's a huge time in our world right now of bringing awareness to our communication. Our language is changing, the way we use language is changing, the way that we refer to ourselves and each other and our feelings and our needs, it's changing in a really good way. And it's really difficult a lot of times to keep checking yourself in your language, like, because our language is divisive. It separates us on so many levels, you know, like,
I want a specific example.
I know, I'm trying to go with that. I mean, for me, I think the biggest thing in just observing my language, oh gosh, there's a whole bunch. They're all tumbling in. Okay. So many ways that our culture generally is changing its language, as far as, you know, the adjustment that a lot of people are struggling to make around calling an individual person a they, which I think is wonderful, because we all have many more aspects and facets to ourselves than we've generally been given permission to. And so how wonderful that we're finally stopped separating people into binaries. Is it's not just the gender thing, it's also like the virgin whore thing, the like messy neat neat thing, the like smart stupid thing, the like sad happy thing. Like we're not just one or the other, we are all of it, and it varies all the time. And so if we can just let ourselves vary, like our language is often separating us into like, you have to choose what you are. Our culture, kind of like, what kind of person are you? What kind of, we're asked that since we're kids, you know, like decide, well, how about if I'm this day and this day and this part of this day, you know, like all of it, allowing all of it all the time.
All of it.
So that attention to our language, and with that actually goes the and but thing. So often we'll be like, yeah, I totally want to do that for you, but I also, how about I want to do that for you and I need to take care of myself.
Yeah.
So when we're allowing more rather than the either or, all the time.
And like yoga actually sort of means that.
It does.
Because if in set theory, like the yoga means union. In set theory, you've got like the Venn diagram, you got this and this. The union of those two is all of this and all of that. So it's not like it's not the either or set. It's the one of the best things is like if you take, there's not a really great example here, but if you take like a window with two panes, right? This line that divides the two panes is the line that separates one from the other, but it's also all the points of connection that help you see the whole picture, right? So what's the both and?
Yeah.
What's the all of it? And that's I just remembered as he said that was the phrase he said that had me want to interview you. I was like, what's going on? You're like,
all of it.
I want to bring all of it. Like, what does all of it mean?
I know, and it seems...
And what is the all of it that you're not been bringing because it seems like it might not be received in a class or whatever? What is it you wish you could bring more of if that applies?
Well, that's the stuff I get feedback on a bit, that it makes me awaken to how people feel like they're not allowed to be this or that, is that I get that permission, like you've given me permission to be more, to show up with more of myself rather than like, okay, I'm in this situation, I have to act this way. Well, how about if, we acknowledge what people need to feel safe in a situation, but also honest with where we're at in each situation. So all of it, and I also wanted to mention, these kind of tie together, I think. Let's see what happens. The other lesser known meaning of yoga is to go where we've not gone before. So yoga is about keeping things fresh, keeping things new, not like I'm going to go do yoga, the same thing I do every day. Yoga is being in that moment exactly where you're at. So maybe this down dog today is full of a different emotion, or maybe my back or my legs feel different, or maybe I can notice the sky, the temperature, the sounds that are different. Like there's always something new in every moment, even if we feel like we've experienced something before, which often happens in our emotional, mental growth and expansion, is we're kind of spiraling around and it'll feel like, this thing again, like fucking depressed again. Like, yes, and we have more space from it when we keep practicing, or when we've been there and broken through, we can pause and just take that look, like, I'm having those same feelings, and this time I'm knowing I'm having those same feelings. I'm remembering what I did last time, so I'm having already more power, more ability, more possibility. And so it's different every time, and if we just can skip that samskara, or that groove of the same story, like, this again. No, it's this again, but maybe one spiral up, maybe a little bit more tools there, a little bit more spaciousness. Like what I'm about to blog about that just happened for me recently was that, oh God, I might get into this whole story now, I'm not sure, but anyways, I had a breakthrough with my daughter where, I have a teenage daughter, and we were talking, and she went through some stuff as a younger person that I was like, whoa, where'd you get this stuff from? Recently, I went through some very similar stuff and emotional reactivity stuff. And I used to get mad. What happened is she would get really sad and kind of break down. And I used to have the same things, but I thought it was different because I would get mad. And I would physically like rage, act out, yell, like run, move hardcore, get all tough on it. And so I thought mine was a different thing. Right. This time I had it. I stayed with the project I was doing. I had those feelings. And because of my practice, I had spaciousness from it. And I saw it and realized It's the same thing she was going through. And I used to think she had to like tough through it because it's the way I did it. But I was able to sit and see, like, right now I'm not toughing through it. I'm not breaking down. I'm seeing those feelings, having this experience of like wanting to break down, of not being able to breathe fully. Oh gosh. And able to just go, oh, all right, you know, what am I going to choose here instead? It could go into it. I could do the old thing. I could do a new thing. I could just sit and witness it. And mostly that's what happened. And I think that would take a whole nother video. So I'm not going to get deeper into that. I'm about to blog about that. But anyways, the point is that I allowed that old familiar experience to be new, as fucking scary as it was and hard as it was. And then processed with her after and like breakthroughs. And that's what I'm referring to in my newsletter I just sent out. If you got it, is that often, you know, breakdowns are our breakthroughs. Yeah. You know, we have breakthroughs when we allow ourselves to break down. And break down is that not like, this is who I am, this is the way I do things, but this is, I don't know what I do here. I don't know who I am here. Those moments of just allowing that.
Right, but that's going back to the imaginal cells. Right?
So, and then we can imagine into the new butterfly we're going to be.
I've said the way we hold it all together is what keeps it the way it is.
Yeah.
Like, if that's good news, great. Keep holding on. Like, if you've got,
are we here to be the same thing our whole life? No, I don't think so. So, like imaginal cells, as David referred to, those are the things inside the caterpillar that turn the caterpillar into a butterfly. I mean, caterpillar turns into a butterfly. Come on, that's so awesome. We have the same cells, I understand, in our hearts. And so we are actually able, you know, to transmute and transform with the energy of our heart, with the unconditional love, with courage, which I consider living with full heart. That's the etymology of the word. Courage is to live with full heart. And so
French cour.
Cool, the hot, the Latin, I guess. Sorry, I correct you. So yeah, allowing ourselves to be new. And as I was saying, referring to that butterfly, and we referred to the butterfly earlier in talking about teenagers and that challenge of changing. How if we were to help somebody, like, oh, you're okay, let me help you, let me like take all the bad stuff away.
Let me rip your cocoon off.
Yeah, then you'll be a shriveled up butterfly. You'll never pump up your wings and get your power to turn into a butterfly. We need to do our own pumping up. We can be supported by people. Please let us be supported and witnessed. But if we resist that necessary pulsing against our constraints, pulsing against those old ideas of who we are, oh, I'm just a little worm, I can't do it, I'm no good, I'm not worthy. Fuck that. Push against it, you know, keep going through those emotions and sometimes feel it, because often what we feel is inspiring us to take the action. If we don't allow ourselves to feel it, we don't take the action with full heart, with courage.
So that brings back, I just wrote this thing out that I'll put out eventually, but like what each of the emotions I think is teaching us. But I feel like, I don't know if I want to go all the way down there, but I think the emotions carry, well, maybe we can do this again. I'm enjoying it.
Yes.
Always enjoy my time with you. Hi.
That's my brother.
Oh, hi, brother. There's something about each of the emotions, they're trying to carry a message. And if we try to like, oh, I'm feeling angry, I shouldn't feel angry, it's like we don't get the message. And anger, anger is like when you're the natural response if your boundary's been crossed. Like, so you go, oh, you crossed my boundary, screw you, or oh, you crossed my boundary, let me declare my boundary more. I must not have stated my boundary more clearly, right? And sadness, what I came up with was it's like this. It shows how much you care about something, right? Like if we're just like, oh, I really care. I should want to put more energy.
I have desire. I have longing for something.
So there's a bunch of those.
Totally. That's so good.
You, not just
no, we're sharing. Let us philosophize together.
Falafel guys.
So, but with that, as you said, that one of the things I taught of is in the tantric philosophy, it's that everything is perfect and everything is okay. And something that a lot of us argued with my wonderful teacher Harish Wallace about during these teachings is like, no, there's some shit in the world that is fucked up and not okay. But the point is, that stuff, when we feel it, whatever we feel, that's okay too. That is more than okay. That's happening so that we will do something about it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just okay, like, oh, too bad the world's fucked up. It's perfect though. Like, no.
So
Let it set you on fire. Let it
calls.
set you on fire. That calls us to action. That calls us to
Right.
build the world we want, you know?
When the world as presented does not match this better world we have idealized inside us, that world only exists inside us until we bring it out. So when we see the world seems fucked up, it's like, oh, I need to bring my vision more fully, not blame the world for not already being that.
And that's why you're here, and thank you for your visions.
Yeah. So so all of it. So when you talked about that, I'm going to come back to that. When you talked about like, it's time to bring all of it. Like, how are you going to bring all of it more? The things you said about that so far, like giving people permission, that's been fairly already some of the all of it that I expect from you. But there seemed like there's a burgeoning more bigger vision. Is there more?
And I'm not sure exactly what it is yet. I think, I'm trusting the muse and that it'll come out in its own way. But for me, just looking at all the divisions that I've had within myself, like I kind of keep my sexy life over here and which you should, like I'm not trying to go to class and be sexy or anything, but I teach yoga that has more sex positive and kink positive even components, and that's not gendered, whereas a lot of yoga feels like it's gendered because people have really gone Shiva, Shakti, two separate things, male, female. Not that, it's all this one thing that has different aspects that have a range, and they're not separate things. And so again, just like that virgin whore thing, like I grew up Catholic, and it was very much this continuum of that idea as I came into yoga, and the whole idea of brahmacharya, or containing your sexual energy. Like, we want to contain our sexual energy, but also our sexual energy is our life force energy. It's our creative energy. It's our emotional energy. So can we, and so denying it, I think, is what has caused so much sickness in our culture. And if we can really embrace the whole of what we are, and so much comes from that. It's around sex, it's around death, it's around sadness and guilt and fear and anger. Like all these things are like, oh, that's too much. That doesn't belong here. Here is where we're nice and perfect. Like, no, actually, all of you is welcome here. All of that's welcome here. Let's just acknowledge we're all sexual beings. We all get sad. We all get angry. We all have a spectrum of emotions. We all have a spectrum of gender or energetic expressions. We're not any of us just one thing or the other thing. And so that's like what I've had to deal with myself, thinking that I'm crazy because there's so many aspects of me, so many voices in my head, and that I had to choose one way of being. Well, I figured out I'm not crazy. I think I'm just all of these things. And I think we all are. I'm pretty sure. I'm totally fine to hear back from you if you're like, no, I'm definitely just all this one thing. I'm not all the things. I'd love to hear that. But I think we're all the things. I think we all have a vast array of voices and ways of being and feeling and expressing that we keep down because we were taught to. Yeah. And I just want to live this life fully. I want to taste everything. I want to know everything. I am in love with everything. And I want that for everybody. Yeah. That.
Yes,
that saying enough?
All that. That's saying enough. That's saying enough for now, especially because we're on low battery mode.
Oh,
so
battery.
We will, hearts. Thanks everyone for watching. I'm David, this is Lucid. We'll do this again.
We'll definitely do this again.
Maybe we'll even find a regular slot to do this in, because that tends to help people.
Do something that scares you today.
Oh.
Tell someone you love them today. Meet someone new today. What else? I don't know. Climb a tree. Hug a tree at least.
I loved your message over and over. Like, find your yes. Just feel into your full yes.
Like, what lights you up inside? And even if it's scary, like I know I'm closest to my truth when I'm getting shaky, when I'm afraid to say or do the thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing you want to say or do.
Speak
that
your
thing
truth,
that's
even if your
making
voice
you sweat
shakes.
a little bit, or I'm sweating a little bit, or tremble. That's your truth.
Just,
let yourself be shaky, honest, imperfect, messy.
Or here's, you know that game Telephone that you play sometimes? You whisper to each other's ears. I like the one, how would you act if you knew you were pure love?
How would you act if you knew you were pure love?
If you knew You are made of love, like all the way through and all the way down.
You are.
You are.
You are.
So
you're made of pure love all the way through, all the way down.
and I know people have said like we're supposed to be different, we're supposed to be more of this or less of that, and that's basically because they were told they were too much of this or not enough of that, and it's just this like long chain of like shame and blame. And,
shame is such a killer.
I got to, I do want to wrap, but
okay.
I got to witness my dear friend Michael and Jamie had their baby and they posted the birth video. It's such a miracle, and we're all that miracle. All of us. And Athena, I saw you're watching. You got the one brewing inside you. I love you. Be love. Be love. That's it.
Love you.
What wonderful glare.
Oh, you're just glowing now. Oh, David's ascending. Maha David.
Thanks you guys for watching. David, Lucid.
Thank you. Blessings.
Blessings.
Wow.